Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack some absolutely fascinating, newly released NASA data about a mysterious object that just hurtled through our solar system. You've probably seen the headlines floating around recently, so we are going to break down exactly what NASA's massive, coordinated fleet of spacecraft just observed. Okay, let's just tackle the wild internet rumors right out of the gates. Because of the timing with the recent government shutdown, speculation immediately exploded that this thing was an alien ship. And hey, people's brains expanded to think about how magical the universe could be, which is great. NASA officials even said they loved that the world was wondering along with them. But looking closely at the data, there were absolutely zero technosignatures. None. But honestly, the scientific reality they did find is just as mind-blowing as any alien spaceship theory. Because all the evidence points to this object being a comet. A small, natural, solid body of rock and ice that sheds a dusty cloud or a coma as it warms up near a star. But here is the kicker. This particular comet arrived from the deep, pitch-black darkness entirely outside of our own solar system. Section 1. Meet Comet 3I/Atlas, humanity's rare interstellar visitor. So, the 3I in its name, that is incredibly significant. It means this is literally only the third interstellar object humanity has ever found. Ever. The Atlas part just refers to the NASA-funded telescope down in Chile, which is part of our planetary defense network that first spotted it back on July 1st, 2025. Finding something from beyond our own solar system is an exceedingly rare event. We are really just now getting the technology to spot these things on a consistent basis. To put this into perspective, let's look at our previous interstellar visitors. Our very first one back in 2017, Oumuamua, was super weird. It was elongated, asteroid-like, basically completely inert. Then we had our second visitor, Borisov, in 2019. Now that one acted a lot like our normal homegrown comets, but 3I/Atlas, it sits in this fascinating middle ground. It definitely behaves like a comet, but its composition is, well, a bit more out there. And that gives us a brand new window into what other star systems are made of. Section 2, a very different recipe. The interstellar coffee analogy. NASA scientist Tom Statler actually came up with a brilliant way to explain this. Think about coffee. If you grew up in Hawaii drinking native Kona coffee, your first sip of Sumatran coffee is going to totally surprise you, right? I mean, it's still coffee for sure, but the totally different soil and weather conditions of where it was grown make the recipe unique. Well, 3I/Atlas is exactly like that. It's still a comet, doing comet things, but because it was forged in an entirely different galactic environment, it has a completely different recipe than the comets we are used to seeing. The astrophysics teams affectionately call their spectrograph data science wiggles. And these specific science wiggles are telling us a wild story. They reveal a comet nucleus that is uniquely rich in carbon dioxide and weirdly heavier on nickel than iron. Usually, local comets emit a very predictable ratio of those elements. But 3I/Atlas is just dumping out way more carbon dioxide compared to water and putting out way more nickel. They even detected unique blobs of hydrogen gas and noticed that the light reflecting off its ancient dust polarizes in a really unusual way. These aren't just random quirks. These are the literal chemical fingerprints of an alien solar system. Section 3. The Solar System Paparazzi. NASA's Coordinated Fleet. Now, observing those chemical fingerprints was not easy. The comet actually passed by when Earth was stuck on the absolute wrong side of the sun, so we couldn't just point our ground telescopes at it. Instead, nearly 20 different NASA mission teams had to band together. As one scientist put it, it was like being at a baseball game where everyone in the stadium pulls out their phone to get a picture of a fast-moving ball. Nobody has the perfect view, but by combining everyone's unique angles from deep space and planetary orbiters, you piece together the whole picture. It was literally an interplanetary relay race. In July 2025, right after Atlas discovered it, Hubble started tracking its teardrop-shaped coma. By September, deep space probes like Psyche and Lucy managed to grab these incredible backlit views. Then in October, Martian orbiters like MAVEN and MRO took over for close-ups as it passed just 19 million miles from Mars. Right after that, the SOHO spacecraft spotted it crossing behind the sun. And finally, rounding out the year in December, the James Webb Space Telescope steps in to track its exit in deep infrared. So, why track it so obsessively? Well, doing this lets scientists monitor something called non-gravitational accelerations. I know, that sounds super technical, but it basically means the comet has its own built-in propulsion system. As the sun warms up that icy nucleus, gas and dust violently bake off the surface. Those emissions literally act like tiny little rocket engines, subtly pushing the comet and altering its trajectory through space. And scientists need all that fleet data to precisely calculate its exact path. Section 4, a window into the past, older than our sun. Here is where things get truly mind-bending. 3I/Atlas is hauling through space at over 60 kilometers per second. To put that into perspective, our local solar neighborhood average is only about 10 to 15 kilometers per second. It's moving 3 times faster than the stuff around us. In our galaxy, a much higher relative speed is a very strong indicator of age, because stars that formed longer ago have had more time to increase their random motions. So this immense speed strongly points to the comet originating from a population of stars that is much, much older than our own. Actually, scratch that, it's more than just a comet. It is a frozen fossil from the deep past. It has been wandering the absolute darkness of interstellar space since before our world was even born. It's only waking up right now, just for this brief moment, as it kisses our sun. Think about that for a second. The material actively baking off the surface of this object right now, it was formed before our solar system even existed. It's an ancient time capsule perfectly preserved in the deep freeze of space, giving us this incredibly rare, fleeting glimpse into the ancient universe. Which really begs the question, as our planetary defense networks grow sharper, and we start discovering more of these ancient time capsules, what other magical secrets of the universe are just waiting to be revealed? 3I Atlas is only our third visitor of this kind. As our telescopes get better and our space fleet expands, we are standing on the very edge of a whole new era of discovery. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep looking up.